Hey everybody, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me for my latest YouTube video for Imagine. We're making earrings today and I'm so excited to share this project with you. We're going to start off with some of the products that I'll be using today. This is sheet metal from Imagine and they're embossable metal pieces. You can see here that there's a blue coating on the back and you just peel that off when you're ready to get started. I have a bunch of StazOn ink, which is the ideal type of ink to use on the sheet metal. I've got extra colors here just in case, and then I have GlazOn, which is a sealer. So I'm moving off to the side the excess pieces, and I have this really old Cuttlebug embossing folder called Midnight Hauntings, and we're going to be using the skull that's there. I've got the oval, the large ovals that are in the package, and again, you get a nice assortment of pieces in there. And I'm just going to peel off that blue coating. This is really the front of the metal. You can emboss on either side. Obviously, both sides will be embossed when you're done with this, but this is really the front, and you can kind of see from the edge there that that's the front. So I'll do the other one off camera, and now that's nice and peeled off. And now I'm going to just line up my skull with my oval. And I'm just going to tape them down. I probably should have used a better tape as opposed to washi tape, but it's just fine. So I'm just carefully lining that up. And then I'm going to add the tape to the back just so that I make sure that it doesn't move when I run it through my die cut machine. And as far as the sandwich goes, you're going to have to just play with your own machine. I had to mess around with mine to make sure that it was going to be enough pressure without it being too much pressure. So now I've got that all done. And you can see that fantastic skull on the sheet metal. How cool is that? And you can use either side. I used the actual front, the true front, but you can use the back too. And granted, skulls may not be your jam. They're mine. But any embossing folder that you have, you can totally do this technique. And again, because there's so many cool shapes in the sheet metal assorted pack, you can just play till your heart's content with those embossing folders. And I bet that you have some really good ones that you can make some fun jewelry with. So I'm taking the Plum StazOn and I'm applying that to the surface. You can use royal purple too. I was in the mood for plum. Royal purple would have been a nice choice as well though. So I wiped off some of the excess. I didn't want it quite as dark as it was for my first layer. And now I'm just applying it to the second directly from the ink pad. And I'm just using a paper towel, a dry paper towel, to kind of wipe off that excess before it dries. And then I'm going to be using the GlazOn. Now the GlazOn is a sealer, and it also keeps your assorted colors from mixing together and coming off once you start applying them. So like I'll be going in with the Caribbean green, but I don't want it to take the plum color away. So by applying a nice coat of GlazOn, and I'm using a brush, you can do it directly from the bottle, but I wanted it to stay pretty thin. By applying the GlazOn and then letting it dry, those colors won't mix. So it's protecting the bottom plum from coming off. So, and I probably should have added a little bit of a thicker coat, but it works out just fine. So now those are nice and dry, and here I am coming in with the Caribbean green. This is such a pretty color. I am not intending to wear these for Halloween. This is going to be an all-year pair of earrings for me. I have plenty of skulls in my wardrobe, including lots of earrings that will work for this. So this is just Alison. This is just my style. But if you've got any pretty florals or geometrics, I really encourage you to kind of experiment with different colors of StazOn and those folders and just playing around. And you don't have to make earrings either. You can make pendants, for a necklace. You can do dangles on a bracelet. Just kind of have a good time. I'm adding a little bit more of the plum. I'm just kind of adjusting my colors, just playing around, making it a little varied. I like how they're blending together. I like how you can really see those colors on each side. And I don't know about you, but I really like when earrings have opposing views, right? So you can see that I have the Caribbean green on the outer edge of my two pieces, right? And the plum is on the inside, right? Or reverse that if you want to have them the other way. But I like when they're opposite as opposed to the same on both sides. I don't know. That's just me, but you do you. You do it however you want. So now I'm adding a little bit more of that GlazOn with my brush. Make sure that you clean your brush off really well so that it doesn't get stuck permanently. Just applying that here and there, and then you got to set that off to the side to dry. Make sure it's really dry. Depending on the humidity by you, it could be a little tacky for a bit, but it'll dry eventually. So now I have one of the many bead boxes that I have, and I'm just pulling out a few beads. I've got a teal glass one there. I'm putting on an amethyst bead next, and then I'm going to go in with a few other glass beads. And I'm using just a silver colored eye pin. Nothing fancy. This is super basic jewelry stuff. I'm going to show you how to close that off shortly. I know it's a little tough to see this on camera because the beads are so small and my fingers are so chonky, but you'll get the idea once I show the finished pieces. So I'm just adding a few seed beads right now and using my finger to pick them up, and then I'm just threading them right on there. The nice thing about working with this metal eye pin is that, you know, it's easier than thread, you know, and I like that it's stiff. I like that it's not really going to go anywhere, although we will add jump rings so that it will have plenty of movement. So I'm just going to add a few more seed beads, and instead of making you sit there and watch all of that, I added them on top of that, that second teal rectangle that I have there. So those are the finished pieces, but now we're going to close it off. So I've got a couple of pliers. I've got my wire cutters, but I kind of didn't think that I needed them, but I always have them just in case. And fun fact, those are the pliers that I have tattooed on my arm. Those are my favorite pliers, and they were my dad's, so I had to have them put on me permanently. So now I have a twisted jump ring. You can use a regular jump ring, but I like to be fancy. So I have a twisted jump ring, and first, before we start attaching that, I'm going to close off the eye pin. So using my fancy round nose pliers, my favorites, I'm bending the wire back about 90 degrees and then curling it forward to get that nice loop there. If you just bend it forward, you're going to wind up with a flat edge. So you bend it back, and again, I apologize that it's hard for the camera to kind of capture all of this clearly, but you bend it back and then you bend it forward, and then you have a nice rounded loop. You can see that there. So now the camera's really going to struggle. So I wound up cutting to a new video. I put some black paper underneath. You'll see in a second, just so that it can help focus a little bit. To open a jump ring up, you don't want to split it apart. You want to twist it from side to side. So this way you're not deforming the loop that it is. So here I have a fishhook ear wire, and I'm just closing that beaded piece that we made. Sorry that that's off screen. It's I'm trying really hard to make it all work. Forgive me, you guys. But you'll see what I'm going to do here in a moment. So now I'm going to open the second jump ring, again, twisting it as opposed to just opening it wide. And now I have my second ear wire going on there. And you can use, if you have clip-ons, you know, you can do that too. Whatever works for you. You know, I'm just trying to give you some fun examples and ideas of what you can do with not just the sheet metal, but with your ink colors, your StazOn ink colors, and how you can coordinate it with some beads. So now I have my sheet metal piece that we've embossed and inked up, and I'm making sure that the fish hook, okay, the ear wire, is open to the back so that it will have the skull facing the correct direction. Okay, so you don't want to have it with the fish hook facing forwards the same direction as the skull, because then your skull will be facing the wrong way and you won't see those pretty colors that you added. So that's why I was kind of fumbling with that for a moment. So now I'm adding the second jump ring to the bottom, making sure my fish hook is facing the opposite direction of the color. And there you go. We've got some earrings, guys. How fun is that? And if you don't want to add all these beads, you don't have to. You know, you can have just the sheet metal piece, but that's it. That's it for me. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I love showing you different ways that you can use your paper crafting supplies for other things. Have a great day, everybody. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.